And we're live with Nabeel Alamgir, founder and CEO of Lunchbox. Thanks for being here, Nabeel.
John, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm excited to jump in. For those of you who don't know what Lunchbox is, can you give us a little overview of yourself and what you're up to?
Absolutely. So at Lunchbox, we believe that restaurants should have their own channels and own ways to talk to their guests, right? A lot of the first way most restaurants started delivering was via Grubhub and DoorDash and others. We thought that was great until we looked at the numbers and we said, crap, not great at all, not profitable at all. And the pandemic has made that very clear. So we help restaurants build their own channels that otherwise Chipotle and Domino's has. Your own app, web, and other ways to order food and engage with your guests directly. So, and the reason we feel so passionate about it is because I was in the restaurant business. Before this, I was a CMO at a restaurant group in the East Coast called Bear Burger. We're in 5 countries. Started there as a busboy a decade ago, worked my way up, learned English along the way, and it's been a trip.
It sounds like it. And there's a lot of places I'd love to dive in. I told you just before we started hitting record. I used to work at Chow Now, similar solution. We could get into a little bit of like the differences, etc. But first, because you started as CMO of Bear Burger, thought we could dive a little bit deeper into your background as a marketer. We met on LinkedIn, started to work together. You have a knife emoji by your name. I think it works because you're such a nice guy. I'm curious, like,
I have a nice tattoo right there.
So where did that come from? My first question that I jotted down to dive into is, what is your perspective on branding, marketing, personal branding, how you guys have differentiated Lunchbox as a solution? What's your approach towards marketing in general?
My approach is that when everyone zigs, you should zag. My approach is that people get used to things seeing a certain way and everyone decides to do everything at the same time. And I think you need to be true to your personal mission and your personal brand. In the early stages, investors invest in the founder. They don't invest in the company. The company has no traction. And I think as a young company, the founder should imprint a lot of who they are within the brand. And so if you look at who I am and what our brand is right now, our brand has things like, a culture of graphics that I've borrowed from the tattoo world that I have on my arms, right? We have colors that are electric, if you will. We have words like hangry because I am hangry and I do get hangry often. And when you're not sure who you are, just be yourself. And that's what we did throughout our branding. It was all in house. It was me and my creative director, and yeah, we just wanted to build something that we were excited about, and the restaurant industry was excited about, something that was genuine, something that was loud, and something that was uh, a voice for restaurants everywhere. We don't have representation in restaurants and in food tech, and we wanted to be the company that was a voice for them, and we wanted to be unapologetic, absolutely unapologetic in trying to do that.
I love it. I love it. And I guess diving a little bit deeper into the actual solution, do you guys help restaurants rebrand? Do you guys get to that point in terms of the journey, or is it more just branded apps, branded online ordering experience? Yeah, can you dive a little bit deeper into the solution?
One of the things I always say is if we are not going to be great shepherds of our own brand, how are we going to help all these other beautiful, awesome restaurants build their digital real estate, their digital storefront? So that's why we focus so much on it. We don't help restaurants with their branding because that would be wrong of us to do that. We're a SaaS tech company. We enable them to express themselves and who they are with our technology, with every color, every illustration, and everything else in between. Right? I think commerce is great. I think Grubhub is great. The problem with those sites are that they are not the restaurant's customer, right? That's why restaurants don't get any data from them. And that's why restaurants die, and 100,000 of them are dead in the middle of a pandemic. So when I say I'm hangry, I'm very hangry about all of that. And what I want to do for the restaurant industry is to teach them that you've worked so hard in building your your actual real estate. You signed a 10-year lease, spend some time building your digital community as well. We are the right tech to be your partner in enabling you to do that, so you can not only make money, but you can also again build relationships with customers that you might need if something like a pandemic hits you, where dine-in will be shut down.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people realize that when you're going through a third party like Uber Eats or Postmates or DoorDash, that what is it, like 15 to 30% commission fee in terms of what the restaurant has to pay out in that order. So you guys are charging a SaaS model where the employee is paying a monthly fee no matter what and how
Yeah.
much the volume is.
Yeah, we have a monthly SaaS fee. We end up being around 3% in cost. Our competitors are 30%. The smaller the restaurant, the more the fee, and the fee is 30%, 35%, leaving the restaurant with 5% in profit, if you will. And that's terrible. And the problem is, if you're a chain who doesn't need that discount, you pay only 20%. So regardless, it's bad, but we just think that the system is not built for your local SMB, your local corner store that really needs it. They don't get the data. Shake Shack does. They don't get the fees you need to survive. Starbucks does, right? So that's our take on it, and we want to make that a little bit more fair.
Got it. And I'd love to switch gears a little bit and talk about you, your leadership style. Something that stuck out to me was as soon as you saw JOON as a benefit, you guys moved really quickly, faster than any company I've seen, which was awesome. And I thought it said a lot about your guys' values around your guys' culture. So can you speak to, not to promote our product or anything, but just what was the thought process and logic behind making a decision on something like JOON, and what does that say about Lunchbox as a people first employer if you zoom out?
It says you should come work here, so we're hiring across the board. That's what it says. It says you should come work here, unless you're considering JOON, then maybe you should debate. But if it's anyone else besides JOON, come work here. We have a lot more fun. We give a lot of crap about our customers, but we care even more so about our team. My head of talent made a post today that said that the first interaction she had with me, I told her, I don't care about anything else. I care about the people. Let's go and find the best people. Let's keep the people we have on our team happy. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it's stressful. And I am overwhelmed many times throughout a week. So I can't even imagine what my team is going through, you know. And we just want to build on that. 15 minutes ago, I just came from a meeting where we have a company-wide culture meeting on Wednesday, where we had something similar to MTV Cribs, where everyone showed their home for a minute. Right? Last week we had a demo session where everyone showed something they're working on. Right? At 1 o'clock we have lunch, company-wide lunch. You don't have to be on a Zoom. Just go have lunch with your family. Unplug for a second. The pandemic is not helping anyone. You book more meetings than ever before now because you can squeeze in more. And because of all those things, mental health is at an all-time, at a place where we're all in a frenzy. And what your company does is it does two things. I've been preaching to everyone that you need to meditate, you need to focus on mindfulness, but everyone has their own way to find that mindfulness. And what your application does, for some, the outlets is fitness. So you have companies like Peloton that my employees can, for anyone who doesn't know how JOON works, for any of my audiences, it's, you give JOON, what they do is the employers can now pay JOON, and JOON will take that capital and give it and distribute it to all the employees. So we give everyone $75 a month. It's not much. It's not nothing. It's in addition, so they can invest it on any of the platforms we've approved. And we've approved 3 different categories that we care about a lot: fitness, mindfulness, and work from home productivity, right? But there's a lot more places they can use that. And we just wanted to, again, make a commitment and say, we care about this. Please, use it if you can. If not, use it on Whole Foods, whatever you want to. Obviously, we banned Grubhub, Uber Eats, and DoorDash because that was hilarious. But that's something else. We did. It doesn't work on those three systems. And
Yeah,
Joe,
we could
let's
get
go.
really yeah, we could get really customized, exclude
Yeah.
things. Um, Love it. And Nabeel, couple more minutes left. Curious to dive a little deep into like where does your perspective come from? Like, have you always been this caring of a guy? Is it been something that you've honed in over the years? Has it come from your own family and culture? Like, where has your perspective on leadership, on building community and taking care of your team come from?
Oh man, I get emotional when I think about it. Uh, it everything comes from your family. Problem is, I grew up in a very crappy home. Mom was a Dunkin' worker, dad was a cab driver. When you're fighting for dollars, and you're fighting for, to keep rent going, you don't. Some many people behave different way. Unfortunately, my parents behaved in a way that was not productive and
Mm.
harmful. And mental health and is not something anyone cares about at all in our family. And just my country, where I come from Bangladesh. I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 15. I came here 15 years ago. uh, it's not something that's very easily talked about, right? Imagine how people talked about mental health in America 100 years ago. That's how it is in Bangladesh. We just got the VHS 2 years ago. I'm kidding. I'm making that up. Uh, but because of that, because of their hard work, I was still able to be here, where now I can make a difference. And if the CEO of the company is not always having a blast, everyone else is allowed and have the permission to also say, I'm not doing great. I need a breather. uh, so yeah, it's lead by example. It's my family background. It's, if we're going to build a massive company, and if we're going to go on an uphill battle to beat some of the biggest companies, uh, then let's uh, prepare for the long run. And that's not just running 30 minutes every day. That's also all the things that happen in silence that we need to invest in.
Yeah. Do you have a meditation practice, Nabil?
Yeah, I do around like 25 things every day to stay scheduled. Some of them are, I'll write something positive I've done. Some of them are, I'll try to see if I was grateful today. Some of them are more traditional, like meditate for 10 minutes. Some of them are also like visualize. And so I have like 25 things I do every day, split between morning, night, and very few things in the afternoon, just because it's jam packed.
Something I love to ask entrepreneurs is around inflection points, and the stories that come along and the successes that come.
Yeah.
Were there any? Can you speak to any like low points in your journey that you had, whether it was personal, whether it was career, that really drove you to make a change, or that drove you forward in a positive direction of building what you built?
I mean, there's so many, man. How long you got? I think, I think, listen, I'm so grateful for my life because everything's brought me here, right? Uh, I'll give you one low point. I have so many. I'll give you one. All right, and I'll give you a more recent one. For our seed investment, we raised 2 years. It was 2 years ago. We started the company 2 years ago. I started fundraising on day one, and I'm like, all right, let's prepare for it, because we had revenue from the first day we started, and uh, tried to raise capital for 9 months. 72 investors said no, and when you hear no that many times, this is what it happens. This is what happens to an investor. You sometimes think that the investors are crazy. Other times you think you're crazy. Other times you think the company is not great, and you play hopscotch between those three feelings and others all the time. um, but doing that with a great team and great co-founders and great advisor and mentors was what helped me get through that. So, and also, having a a program that I stayed true to every day. I meditated every day. I tried to bring it back home and stay grounded every day. Uh, I think if you're not disciplined across the board on those things, you will lean in and believe it instead of
Hmm.
staying alive to fight and figure out product market fit. And so, yeah, that was a low point. And I promised myself we're never letting that happen again. So right after we raised capital, I studied how other founders. I'm a first time founder. Other founders do it, and our Series A we raised in 4 days, because we were prepared when we said we were going to raise. We also worked our butts off to make sure the numbers are great, but we also build all the relationship. It's a club you don't have access to until you're in. So after we got in, after seed, I did what I do best, which is marketing, branding, networking, and really hyper focused on finding the best partners to help us.
Amazing. Well, congrats, Nabeel, on everything you've built. Grateful to have you guys as part of the JOON family. Super excited about you and what you're building, and excited to see what you guys do in the coming months and years and decades ahead. So
Thank you so
thank
much.
you for being here.
Thank you. And the reason we signed up so quickly was because it was exactly what we were talking about. And when we saw Alex Cantor from Automark, who's a founder I respect, use it, those two validations were enough. And I think we signed in 24 hours or something like that. And I
Yeah.
urge everyone to invest in their people. It's cheaper than the alternative, which is not keeping your people happy, losing people. So go get JOON. John, thank you so much for hearing me out, and really appreciate it.
Likewise. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.